one WWE hater versus 10 WWE superfans featuring Maven Huffman, and trust me, this debate gets heated.
Hey yo, what's going on? My name is BT. I'm a pro wrestling purist and a pro wrestling realist, and I'm here to debate these 10 pro wrestling superfans.
So he already looks like a hater from the beginning. He just already looks like a hater. Just look at him. He just oozes hate.
My first claim is the WWE needs Logan Paul more than Logan Paul needs the WWE.
Come on. Listen, if you look at the growth the WWE's had in regard to viewership over the last decade, it's absurd. I don't know if you saw, they just signed a new deal for distribution for their rights with ESPN now.
Yeah.
So they were getting around $80 million a year from Peacock. Now you can up that. You're looking at almost $300 million. ESPN is the global leader in entertainment, not even just sports anymore. So now more eyeballs than ever on it.
I disagree with the fact that brother says that ESPN is the global leader in entertainment. I don't agree with that. Now, maybe their parent company, Disney, is the global leader of entertainment, but ESPN, I think that ESPN is still the global entertainment of sports, and that's where they stand still.
Logan was doing this with no WWE intent on YouTube as a kid in his living room chilling. You know what I'm saying? So he was doing this for a long time. So he has his own program. Understand this. Logan Paul has podcasts that are partnered with WWE, not owned by WWE, partnered. Why is that? Because he's his own brand. Now, look at it from a businessman's perspective. A businessman, I don't give a who you are. Every business you know siphons every dollar they can get, whether it's pennies or cents. Whether you see the price go from $13.50 to $13.99, they're siphoning every dollar they can get. They're gonna get the cash cows. Logan Paul is a cash cow. Logan Paul is a global brand. Before Logan Paul was banned from Japan.
That's why he wouldn't be good for WWE.
No,
if you're going off of him being banned from Japan.
No publicity is bad publicity. If you are banned from Japan, you are a global brand, brother.
Oh, but you're not telling. Okay, hold on.
So what does that have to do with the fact that WWE needs Logan Paul more than Logan Paul needs WWE? If Logan Paul was banned, I'm not sure if that's true or not, but if Logan Paul was banned from the WWE, what sense does it even make for WWE to even take him? That doesn't support the claim that the hater is making that the WWE needs Logan Paul more than Logan Paul needs the WWE. The claim that he's making now, with what he said, is pretty much that Logan Paul needs the WWE more than WWE needs him.
And you say he's partnered with them. All of their podcasts are partnered. They don't own any of their podcasts.
Understand this. Let's put it in perspective. There's fans that would never have even looked at WWE if it wasn't for Logan Paul.
He's right. He's 100% right about that, that there are people that would never look at the WWE if it wasn't for Logan Paul. He's 100% right about that. And that's the thing that WWE does, is that ever since, I guess, let's even go back to WrestleMania 1. It's all about who they can get to watch the product that is not already a fan. Somebody that may casually know about the WWE, may casually know about pro wrestling. They may understand who Hulk Hogan and The Rock is, but do they really know wrestling? Maybe not, but because you put a star in there like Mr. T, like Cyndi Lauper, like in the case of this Logan Paul, you really understand what's happening where they get those new eyes on the WWE, and they may actually become a fan, and in turn start spending their money with WWE.
Logan Paul probably would have never even gave a fuck about WWE if it wasn't for the Attitude Eras and the Ruthless Aggression eras.
That shows that he felt like he needed the WWE then. Right. That's why he came. That's why he came. The WWE didn't go to Logan Paul. He went to Triple H himself and pitched himself joining the roster. So he needed WWE, not the other way around.
As a person like Logan Paul, as a person in his position, he's at the position in his life where he's just doing side quests. This is a side quest for him. This is a side quest that turned lucrative for him. You know what I'm saying? Like I said,
so he went to them still because he wanted to. So he went to the WWE. They didn't seek him out.
What is Logan Paul's viewership on YouTube?
I honestly think the guy's an idiot. The guy has the opportunity to where he can prove that the WWE needs Logan Paul more than Logan Paul needs the WWE, and he's not doing that right now. So right now, in this first question so far, I think that he's failing. I think that he's failing really badly.
The
WWE is the biggest sports brand on YouTube. They're bigger than ESPN on
Hold on. What is Logan Paul's viewership on YouTube? He brought all those
not
viewers,
WWE.
like I said, people that didn't give a fuck about wrestling to wrestling. So when you do that, that's kind of like I said, this is his own brand. No one's brought more eyes to the WWE more than Logan Paul in the last couple of years.
That's all the way. You got people like Bad Bunny. Bad Bunny has brought some eyes to the WWE. Bad Bunny has brought eyes from the entertainment field to the WWE. And I'm only going back towards the end of the pandemic. Then now you're going to look at even people like Pat McAfee. People that see Pat McAfee on ESPN that may already like what he does. So you know what they do now? They now tune into the WWE just to see what he does there. So I think it's a combination of Logan Paul. It's a combination of Bad Bunny, and it's a combination of Pat McAfee of bringing more eyes to the WWE. Were these eyes of people that may have never watched the WWE before? That's hard to say. But I can agree that it's those three names in the last couple years. Logan Paul, Pat McAfee, and Bad Bunny brought a lot of eyes to the WWE. I'm not just going to put that on the whole entire back of Logan Paul by himself.
They'll continue without him whenever he leaves. Nothing's bigger than the program.
That's cap. I'm not gonna lie. If like I said, if it was like that, WWE would be owning that podcast.
They don't own any of their podcasts with all their stars, including Cody Rhodes, his, and Undertaker's. They're partnered with all of those. They don't own any of them. So that's just what they do.
Now, I'm not.
The hater has not done a good job in defending the fact that WWE needs Logan Paul more than Logan Paul needs the WWE. He's doing a piss poor job right now, and now we got Krista up next, and maybe she's going to knock him out.
When Logan Paul came to WWE, I was a fan of Logan Paul. I'm like, all right, cool. We have somebody who is here, who is about the business, who wants to learn about the business, who's been practicing and hustling. However, as my friend Mr. Nico said over there, he sought WWE out. WWE ain't seek him. WWE probably wasn't even paying attention to him. And because WWE is about the money and about the brand, yeah, they know what Logan Paul can bring to the table. So, of course, like you said, since they want to cipher every type of bit of money, they're going to, we're going to bring him. We're going to gain our revenue. But it's going to keep moving with or without him. You talking about, he brought his fan base. Bad Bunny had the craziest match. Backlash in Puerto Rico.
Bad Bunny is no longer involved. So that
it doesn't
he was
matter.
A stint. He was like a blip. He was a blip in time. We're going to talk about that for like 2 seconds and then move on.
It doesn't, but the fact is that we're still talking.
But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Bad Bunny still brought eyes to the WWE. Bad Bunny still got people that are probably still fans in the WWE. Go back to Backlash Puerto Rico. You think those people are not watching the WWE right now still? Like what Bad Bunny did for the Spanish-speaking, the Hispanic audience for WWE, I think that's you can't even begin to imagine what he's done. So this guy right here, the hater, saying that none of it matters, you only want to talk about Bad Bunny for only 5 seconds, I think that's incorrect. Because Bad Bunny came back for more, he did more than one match. It wasn't a one-off. Mike Tyson was a one-off, right? Floyd Mayweather was a one-off, right? But Bad Bunny was not a one-off. Bad Bunny, he learned and he trained and he came to the WWE and he put his best foot forward. So this guy, what he talking about caps are for your head, and he's lying. He don't understand what's going on here.
We brought our big wrestling community from Puerto Rico and from other Spanish-speaking countries to watch that main event at Backlash in Puerto Rico. It's the fact that he was here at Royal Rumble. It's the fact that he had a tag team match with Damian Priest against The Miz and John Morrison at that time, and killed it. So there's no way you're going to sit here and say that WWE needs Logan Paul more than Logan Paul needs WWE. Logan Paul needs WWE, and here's why. There was a point in time where Logan Paul was canceled. There was a point in time where nobody was paying attention to Logan Paul. There was a point in time. It's not cap. There was a point in time where you saw Logan.
I think this brother here just says it's cap when he doesn't have the proof. He just says it's cap. He's just going to say it's cap, it's lying, it's not true, all because he's going to say it's cap. Caps belong on your head. I don't know what the hell he's talking about, but he has no facts to even say that. I want to see if he could come back with some kind of facts to show that she is lying.
But because he wanted to revamp, he decided to get under that WWE umbrella, and he decided to be like, all right, cool, and I'm going to take this serious. Now, is what he doing in the ring or what is he doing in WWE good for his platform? And again, everybody involved and engaged and in tune? Absolutely. But WWE is a revolving door. Like you said, he could be a flash in the pan. Here today, going tomorrow, and nobody's going to be talking about Logan Paul. It's not cap.
Logan Paul can go right back to boxing and can maintain the same brand.
Right, but no wrestling people going to be talking about him. Just like we talk about Bad Bunny all the time. It's always going to be a topic of conversation.
But the thing is, we're not going to say Logan. Understand this too. Logan Paul is what he is also because he's also good in ring. It's not just from his brand too. It's also because he's good in ring. I'm not going to say.
So I agree with what he's saying so far, but he still doesn't support the fact that WWE needs Logan Paul more than Logan Paul needs the WWE. He's not doing a good job at all.
If you bring Bad Bunny back right now with Logan Paul still in the ring, who you think they're talking about? Bad Bunny.
Yeah, they're talking about Bad Bunny. Bad Bunny sold out 30 days, 31 days in Puerto Rico back to back, right? One of the biggest gates in Puerto Rico for music. So, you know, everybody would be talking about Bad Bunny. You know, the media would be talking about Bad Bunny. So what he's saying is cap. He just says, oh, cap. That it's just saying it's cap doesn't mean that what you're saying is true.
Man, Logan Paul needs WWE more than WWE needs him. And you call cap, but I'm gonna say you're the cap master haberdashery is going on right now, okay? First of all, to Krista's point, he needed to get the sports washing special. They're already doing it for Saudi Arabia. Don't look over here, we got sports. So Logan Paul is doing the same thing. Is he athletic? Sure. Is he good in the ring? Sure. But I've seen that somewhere. Hangman Adam Page. He can go away and come back and no one bats an eye. As a matter of fact, I'd rather see The Miz, and I'm a notorious Miz hater, over Logan Paul. Not that Logan Paul's not a draw, but by that term, so is I Show Speed, so is Bad Bunny, so is Mike Tyson, so is Donald Trump, but so are these people. You know what I mean? So I get what you're saying, like, well, he puts eyes on a product, but so will the next person. So will I Show Speed.
In this day and age, in my personal opinion, the way that WWE used to do it was they would look for the biggest people in Hollywood, right? The people that are making the headlines in sports and movies and television. In this day and age, I think that's going away. If you are looking for the biggest star, the biggest person to get in bed with, the person that you want to get in bed with is the person that's getting a lot of views on social media, that's getting a lot of views on the internet. So yeah, I Show Speed. Yeah, Kai Cenat. Yeah, Logan Paul. Those are great people for you to get in bed with. And I think that Logan Paul, listen to me what I'm saying. Logan Paul is going to do what Cyndi Lauper did for entertainers in pro wrestling, in the WWE. Logan Paul is the gateway to social media people getting into pro wrestling. Trust me when I say that.
YouTube wasn't even like they owe, and I'm sorry, I forget your name.
Got you.
To Krista's point, WWE did a great job in always having a celebrity presence, but YouTube was not ever tapped in until Logan Paul came around. And what did he got?
That's not true. That's not fully true. You know, you got Zack Ryder or Matt Cardona when he was doing his show on YouTube. Granted, you know, WWE didn't I don't think WWE went 2 feet in it and ran all the way. But you also have up, down, down from Xavier Woods. So WWE has done YouTube.
I'm trying to think of who's hot right now that the youth them love that they could. Kai Cenat. If Kai Cenat went in there and even did a 1-2 blue skidoo, you could say the same thing for them because Kai Cenat's the most popular person in the world right now. But he'll come, he'll go. Logan Paul, once he's done here or gets banged up for real, will come and go, and no one will miss him.
I don't agree. Like I said,
I disagree with what she's saying. I think that 100% that Logan Paul, right now, Logan Paul is doing some great things in the pro wrestling business, and Logan Paul is going to be one of those people that people are going to be talking about for a very long time.
So my second claim is that WWE picks the stars. The fan never chooses who gets over.
I both agree and disagree for a few reasons. What's happening with Karrion Kross right now is a prime example of they need to listen to their audience of who they want the stars to be. Guys like CM Punk, right? Ooh. People cheered his name to the point where it was undeniable. You couldn't ignore it. They had to make him a star.
I feel like this happens on the regular, though. I feel like, I mean, how many outrageous releases have we seen? Mm-hmm. I mean, not for nothing, they gave R-Truth his moment and really buried him. There was no, like, oh yeah, they give you a little crumbs. They may give you a crumb, but they're not gonna, like, unless they want you, unless you're one of Paul's guys or one of the guys in the back's guys, it's not happening.
So I'm gonna kind of agree and disagree with the whole thing that WWE picks the stars. The fan never gets to choose who gets over. I think it's 75% the WWE and 25% the fans. The fans do have an option and a choice to who gets over. When they buy the merchandise, when they have the signs, when they buy the toys, when they spend their money on one particular person more than the other, it shows 100% that that person is the guy. But WWE picks as well too, and they try and they position that person in front of us, whether it be male or female, for us to figure out if that's the person that we actually like. When you see R-Truth on SmackDown or WWE Raw, I think they had the opportunity to make him serious and they dropped the ball. Allegedly to R-Truth, the reason why they decided that they were not going to do the whole funny man thing anymore was because, he was upset that John Cena was heel, or because John Cena turned heel, so now he could turn heel as well too. I think that they had something good in R-Truth. They made in the WWE, they had the biggest heel on their hands, the biggest heel off the back of John Cena, and they dropped the ball with it. That's going to be something that people are going to be talking about years from now. You remember when R-Truth got fired from the WWE and they started chanting, "We want truth," and then we got R-Truth back, and what they did with him? Nothing.
I think they care when it's good for their wallets, right? And that's at the end of the day, that's what they care about.
Right.
So for us to say that they don't care about the fans, they're trying to make the best products so that we buy more. The people that are getting themselves over, that are outselling everyone else in merch, they're typically getting those pushes. They're getting the top spot. Jey Uso on his own, they gave him that belt because he made himself. He got over with one word with the audience.
And that proves my point, like I'm saying. WWE, 75% of it is the WWE. They said, you know what? Let's put this guy out there and see what happens. Jey Uso was on the run coming out from after the Bloodline, and people just started spending money on him. The Yeet thing became so popular. When he came out, the whole entire audience is chanting Yeet. There's Yeet shirts everywhere. There's glasses everywhere of the Yeet glasses. If you really want somebody to be over, you want somebody to be number one, what you have to do is spend your money on them. The second you start spending your money, WWE is going to put the spotlight on them, because WWE, at the end of the day, yeah, it's entertainment, but it's a business.
Now, you left out a lot of important names. One being Stone Cold.
Damn it.
Yeah, we think alike. Now, he was a heel. Bret Hart was also a heel, but they started finding the cool heel. The fans got behind Stone Cold, and that was it.
You got to look at the state of America in that time, because this was more of an American-based production. If you look at the state of America in that time period, that was a time period of being a rebel was cool, and all that was cool. So realistically, that was really just the company having to look at the times like, oh, we got to make a switch. We got to start making anti-heroes. You know what I'm saying? So I think that was more with when Stone Cold and Bret Hart and DX getting over. That was America actually. Not America, but that was the producers of WWE realizing, oh, no, hold on a second. This fucking all-American Wonder Boy character, no one gives a fuck about that. We were in the peak grunge era at the time. You know what I'm saying? This was when Nirvana was its hottest. Being a dirtbag was lit.
Light my candles in a daze because I found.
Look, he's right. The hater's right for once. I think that the thing about WWE, the thing about pro wrestling, let's go with WWE more so. I think that WWE is really successful, and the reason why they've been successful so long is that WWE does a really good job holding the mirror to pop culture and holding the mirror to America. You want to find out what America is like? Just look at the WWE. You go back to, when social media started blowing up, WWE started getting into that as well too, not understanding what it was, but the world didn't really understand what it was either, but WWE got into it, and look, they have 100 million plus subscribers on their YouTube channels.
WrestleMania 30, I just got back into wrestling, 2014, right? Batista wins, and everyone's like, oh, Batista again. But the fans got behind Daniel Bryan. They kept chanting his name, and look at that. They had the Daniel Bryan movement. They weaseled him into the main event three-way, and he actually won.
And that was ass.
What the what?
But that doesn't prove the point. That does not prove the point. Right? By you just saying that the match was ass, that the match wasn't good, it doesn't prove the point. This guy right here, the hater, when he doesn't like something, when he doesn't agree with somebody, and he doesn't have a clap back, when he can't defend himself, he either says it's cap or the match sucks or it's ass. He's ass.
The whole Daniel Bryan thing, I never was able to get behind. I don't know. I do not understand the character. Was he a crazy white boy? What was he? I have no idea.
Yeah, he was a guy that's kind of like a goat. Yeah, he was a crazy white boy against authority, another rebel like Steve Austin. Yeah.
I don't know if I could say him a rebel. He was just a weirdo, just screaming no. He was a weirdo screaming no.
You see, and this shows right here that the problem with the haters that he may not even really be a WWE fan. Because if you go back, okay, fine, maybe you weren't on, the whole yes thing. Maybe you weren't on the whole Dana Bryan boat when back in 2014, 2015, whenever it was. But if you weren't on the boat, just look at the audience. You don't got to look at nothing else to answer your questions. Go back to WWE that time. If you're even denying what I'm saying right now, go back to that time when Daniel Bryan had to climb uphill, barefoot, in the mud, just to get to the top of the mountain. Listen to the crowd. Look at the crowd. Look at the audience. Look at the shirts. Look what everybody's wearing. What this guy's saying, what the hater is saying, is cap.
I think the biggest thing that's being missed about the Stone Cold was Stone Cold wasn't picked. Most of the guys that you were going to name in the history of WWE were not picked, but guys that were picked. Do you remember when Drew McIntyre was originally picked by Vince McMahon to be his next guy? What happened? Kicked him out of the company. Roman Reigns was hand-selected to be the next guy for the Anoa'i family, and every single fan rejected him. Finally gets off TV, and they do it his way, and the fans go, that's what we always wanted. But talking about Stone Cold Steve Austin, he won that King of the Ring. What did he do after he won that King of the Ring?
Talk that
Dude, that Austin 316 promo. Do you even know he wasn't even supposed to win that King of the Ring? You remember his counterpart, Rock? He was picked, and what happened? What did the fans say?
They ain't fucking
Die, Rocky, die.
Die, Rocky,
Die, Rocky, die.
That was more of a creative thing than it was. That was more of a
But who's
creative
creative?
What do you mean?
Who's creative?
Okay, so the wrestler comes with his gimmick, or he comes with an idea, and then the producers.
But he came in as somebody's son. His gimmick was given to him by the company that chose him to be that guy that
and
he
never,
was.
and technically never really went far from that gimmick, just outside of just.
Far from that gimmick, he joined the Nation of Domination, became completely different than that guy wearing. He was wearing what Macho Man's wearing, like over there.
But he was still always known as, no matter what, he was always still known as Rocky Johnson's son. He was.
That's not true. He eventually broke out of the shadow of being Rocky Johnson's son. But he's not doing a good the hater's still not doing a good job right now at defending his point that the WWE picks the stars. The fan never gets to choose who gets over. The WWE hater, he's working real hard right now. He's scrambling, and he's turning it to Stretch Armstrong. He's reaching for talking points to defend himself, and I think he's doing a piss poor, terrible job of defending himself.
Known as Rocky Johnson's son.
Until what?
No, forever, still, to this day.
No, that's not true.
What? The blood
Now that's cap. That's cap.
story right now. The bloodline story right now. Get the out of here.
You see how ignorant he comes off as, right? When he doesn't agree with something, now he's going to be dropping the F-bombs and acting crazy and acting all aggressive just to make you feel that his point has some kind of weight. No, brother, your point has zero weight behind it. What you're saying right now, that look at the bloodline storyline. What does that have to do with The Rock? That has nothing to do with The Rock. The point of the thing is the WWE picks the stars. The fans never chooses who gets over. That's what you said, and you're doing a terrible job standing on your business.
There used to be this guy, right? He had a gimmick where he had spoken a Jamaican accent, right? Kofi Kingston. They did not want that guy to get anywhere near where he got, just like we said with Daniel Bryan previously. We had Kofi Mania be even bigger than the Daniel Bryan.
And we had to damn near threaten the company to stop watching. We had to threaten the company of racism to finally put the motherfucker over, bro.
So you just made the point for me. I like to appreciate.
Exactly.
My next claim is fans pop louder for the entrances and the catchphrases than the actual in-ring work.
I will argue the fact that, yes, do fans pop for entrance music? Yeah.
Okay.
Do they pop for entrance music more often than they pop for the actual in-ring performances? Yes. Are there some entrances like perhaps Judas by Fozzy and Chris Jericho where they sang him to the ring when he didn't actually play his music? Ooh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But if we popped for every single in-ring performance ever, it wouldn't be special.
When I used to wrestle, one of the things that I used to do is I used to never come out with music. The reason why I never came out with music is because it gives people emotion. You could think about any song right now, think about a song. How does that song make you feel? Does the song bring you back to a particular moment or time? Now, when you hear that, you know, that ding, ding, like John Cena's song is about to start, what do you think? You think it's time to get up on your feet? Or Batista, the guitar in the beginning, the ding, that all brings emotion. So it gets people to pop because they're excited that their wrestlers come out. But I think that people also pop as well too for what happens in the ring. You see, in the pro wrestling ring, in my personal opinion, the way that I view pro wrestling, the moves don't matter. It's all about making moments. It's about making moments in the ring, and that's what people are going to pop for.
The only thing that really matters, one, is the WWE, and that's the one like that's realistic. Like, don't get me wrong, AEW's cool, but that's the minors. That's the minor leagues, bro. If you look at it, like how I look at it, it's the minor leagues. And
I disagree. I don't think that AEW is the minor league by any way whatsoever. They don't have minor league money behind them. They don't have minor league. They may have minor league people in there, but they've got a lot of major league people at the top of AEW. So what he's saying, what the hater is saying, is cap.
Porting example, so that's cool. All right, fine. If you like, you know, just really into wrestling, that's cool. But the mainstream, the thing that really matters, unfortunately, sorry to break it to you, is WWE. And my prime example behind that is Jey Uso. Because my man, I'm not gonna lie, my man made it from mid-card to main card from his entrance. It ain't from the in-ring work. And this is no disrespect. I'm a fan of what you do as a whole. But when we break it down and really start, you know, breaking it down and looking at the small little hairs, hey, bro, your in-ring work, all you're really known for is super kicks and splashes. What else? If everything else, it has to do with the entrance and the swag. Nothing else.
I'll definitely give that one to the hater. He actually finally defended himself on that one. But maybe he defended himself on that one, but maybe the person that's sitting in front of him is not doing a good job of defending their point. But let's keep watching.
If Jey Uso was only going to be remembered for his super kicks, but you remember him.
I don't remember. Listen, he's known for 3 moves. Listen, at the end of the day, like let's bring it to one of the real GOATs, Shawn Michaels. He's known for putting on that story in the ring, and that's the thing. Wrestling is more than just pro wrestling. Is more than just, like I said, being a one-trick pony. You have to be a star. You have to fill every facet of it. Listen, The Rock wasn't the greatest in ring, but he somehow, with his not great in-ring abilities, knew how to put on a performance with psychology and everything else. So
I think that pro wrestling in the WWE is very different from anything else. I think that WWE will put you in the ring if you're not a 5-star Dave Meltzer wrestler. But WWE will put you in the ring if you are a great storyteller and get people to emotionally invest. When you're looking at it money-wise, I'm talking about money now, right? If you can get somebody to get up off of their wallets and hand their money to you, that's where the emotional investment comes in. But WWE is on the entertainment side. When you look at AEW doesn't really care too much about entertainment. Outside of the wrestling, what they're more concerned about is their wrestling. That's how they want their entertainment. Now, if you can get somebody in AEW to put on a great match, not saying that they don't put on great matches, but if you get somebody in AEW to put on a great match and then get the fans to stand up and give them their money, yes, that works. But I think that in WWE, it's all about, it's apples and oranges comparing how WWE works to how AEW works.
People care about the shiny thing. I think, honestly, that, not to say that the fan base is becoming brainless, but they're kind of just getting caught up in the hype more than the actual work.
I will say to that sounds like a very WWE-centric product, because there are rather. I
said that before, that's all that matters.
That's not the case, because AEW is putting up numbers, so is TNA.
So, yeah, okay, so fine, I'm going to agree with the hater on that point, because WWE, I believe that they always sailed the ship. They have sailed the ship since after they won after the 83 weeks, they sailed the ship. They let you know what is cool and what is not cool in pro wrestling. And that's great, right? WWE is at the top of the food chain, and it has a trickle-down effect. When WWE does well, NXT does well. Well, okay, let's look at the whole company. When WWE does well, AEW does well, TNA does well, MLW does well, Ring of Honor does well, and the Indies do well. And you know what even does well? Things like this. If it wasn't for the WWE doing well, there wouldn't be this fan versus hater on YouTube, and it definitely wouldn't be me sitting here even talking to you about pro wrestling on YouTube. If the WWE wasn't doing well, it wouldn't trickle down to everybody else.
My next claim is wrestling was better when it was messy. The Attitude Era was its peak.
I'm gonna agree with you. Attitude Era was one of the best eras out
It's
there.
an automatic dub.
However, times change. Right now, we are in a time where the women are literally making their point and standing their ground.
Right, but she's not making a good point of making her point and standing her ground.
So right now, the women are at its peak. Is what people tune in for.
That I agree with.
We have the Bianca Belairs. We have the Rhea Ripleys. We have people coming from New Japan and Mexico. We got Stephanie Vaquer. We have Julia. We have all these women in NXT. We have these people shining on TNA and in AEW. You got Mercedes Moné with the most titles right now from every promotion there is. That being said, yes, Attitude Era, it was amazing. I'm an Attitude Era's kid, hands down. But we right now in a new evolution to where we here to see the women, and the women are gonna stay here shine, and this is why wrestling's at its peak right now.
So I don't get what she's talking about. I think she's just speaking in talking points, because she doesn't debate the fact effectively that wrestling was better when it was messy. What she's saying is that wrestling is better because the women are on top, because the women actually wrestle. But was wrestling better when it was messy? That's the answer to the question here. And she's probably about to get cooked.
Well, way to ruin one of my arguments.
Period.
I actually agree with you completely. All jokes aside, like my girl watches me, like watch the women, and like I feel in the back of my head she thinks it might be some funny, but I'm like, nah, yo, like ain't a on the roster can do what Io Sky does in that ring. You know what I'm saying? Like, so
right, but none of that still proves the point of what he said, that wrestling was better when it was messy. It seems like he shifted the conversation. He allowed her to shift the conversation that the women are actually good in this generation, and he's stepping away from the fact of wrestling was better when it was messy. He needs to go back to the question, because she couldn't even answer the question effectively, because she even, if he's saying that wrestling was better during the Attitude Era, she agreed with him. So then what's the discussion? At this point, I would have nexted her and sent her away from the table.
When Edge and Matt Hardy was beefing, I don't give a what no one says. Nothing on TV was better than that. And that's not even Attitude, but that nothing.
But that also was not Attitude Era. 1, 2.
Kill him.
His caskets was getting dragged out at the funeral, motherfucker. Like, what?
You're right. That was Attitude Era.
Crazy.
And again, we had brought it down to the entertainment value of it. Granted, the women were not. They were more the centerfolds. They were the bathroom breaks of the Attitude Era. But of course, I grew up on Rock, Stone Cold, Triple H. Everybody was doing things, blackface, everything that would not have been.
I loved it.
Everything that would not have been appreciated or even allowed today. But
I think she did a terrible job of staying to the point. I think maybe her tactic was to bring him away from the question, but I think that she also agrees that wrestling was better when it was messy. I don't fully believe that she's a hater in this, or she
the
disagrees.
Attitude Era being WWE's peak in wrestling, then you're gonna have to broaden your horizons, because like I said earlier, and I would die on this hill, if not for that women's evolution, if not for that women's pay-per-view, if not for what the women are doing now, we wouldn't have that. So right now, we're at its peak.
So she died on the hill, right? She's willing to die on the hill, but doesn't prove the point. So your death is for nothing. Thank you very much for your time.
This is a really hot take, but I think the wrestlers of today can go far better in ring than a lot of the Attitude Era guys. If you sit down and watch a Raw from 1998, 1999, the in-ring was absolutely trash. It was just, it's trash. It's just brawling, especially the mid-card. It was just trash. And even the main event guys, Stone Cold, The Rock, I know they're awesome, they're great. I like.
So far, I'm going to disagree with the fan right now. Mainly because off the fact of, I don't think it was trash. It's like going back to 1975 and saying that the wrestling matches in 1975 were trash. In today's eye, yeah, they're trash because we've gotten something different. right? Because when you look at 1975 and 1999, 1999 was way better than 1975 when it comes to athleticism. 2025 is way better than 1995 when it comes to the athleticism and what they do in the ring. So you can't say it was trash then.
But a lot of those main event matches were just no disqualifications, brawling, not great in-ring stuff.
But that's what made it good. That was the messiness. That's what made you want to tune in, because we didn't have the ability to go on YouTube or to go read on the internet what happened. If you were not there during the Attitude Era and you missed what happened, there was no YouTube for you to go on. There's no Facebook. There's no Instagram, no TikTok, nothing for you to go on. If you missed it because they went off the air and they planned it so that it went off the air, you had to wait until next week until they showed it to you. It made you sit down.
The Undertaker, Stone Cold, Rock, Triple H, those guys could not hold the candle to the guys today in the ring, because it was just all they overly relied on blood, they over relied on weapons, and they over relied on brawling into the crowds to make their matches good, and that's not what good wrestling is, in my opinion.
Well, all right, so I'm just gonna say this because I know this is gonna piss y'all off.
Say it.
Nobody that's 160 pounds stomping makes me nervous at all. I'm just gonna say that.
I mean, yeah, like look at the guy. The guy looks like he's what, 5'11", 280 pounds. Like, yeah, they don't make you nervous because you can body them. But I still need to see what else he's going to say after this, because I don't think that his point's going to even be valid at all. Watch.
Talk about the Seth Rollins stomp that no one. If you 160 pounds, he 160 pounds to me. Hey, you know what I'm saying? But
right. So because 160 pounds to you doesn't mean that Seth Rollins 160 pounds. You see, like look at him. Seth Rollins could run circles around him, tire him out, and then curb stomp him. So his point right now makes no sense that they don't put him in jeopardy. It's not even about you being in jeopardy. It's about the other wrestlers in the ring being in jeopardy. They all look like Seth Rollins. Could Seth Rollins have survived, 30 years ago? 30 years ago, Seth Rollins would have been a mid-carder just based off his body alone. He would have never worked. But in 2025, times have changed. Wrestling has evolved. So somebody like Seth Rollins, he belongs, and he works.
Attitude was better entertainment. So what you were saying is, it's for everyone. It's for everyone. Emotion. What is entertainment? Entertainment invokes emotion. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So everyone feels. So whatever you put out, if you're pissing someone off, you're making someone happy, whether it's you're pissing off the liberal or you're making the racist happy for that 1 second, because the good guy always wins at the end. If you're making them happy for 1 second, you're pissing them off for another second, you're doing your job. Like people get nervous because of corporate dollars, and they talk about purity. They worry about the dollar more than they worry about the actual product they're putting on.
I don't think he's proven a point right then and there that wrestling was better when it was messy. But was wrestling better when it was messy? That's the point that he needs to prove, and I don't think that he's proven that point right now.
When you watch these other companies, they are putting on good shows. They're gonna push those envelopes. They're gonna do those things. Like AEW got people talking about having no hoes and like that, and you know what I'm saying? Like you won't hear that on WWE, and that should be said on WWE. Not for nothing, you know what I'm saying? Everything, like I said, it should be. I get it. People are sensitive and everything like that, but grow the fuck up. Realize this is fucking entertainment. This is not real life.
So I'm going to disagree with what he's saying there. Right, for AEW, that works, and for WWE, that doesn't work. And the reason why I think it does not work in WWE is because look at the audience. There's a lot of kids in the audience at WWE. Most families are not okay with their kids hearing anything about and hoes, right? But at AEW, it's okay, because when you look at the audience is everybody that is in that video. Everybody that is in this video right now look like the people that sit through AEW. So when you're looking at it, like WWE, they have to play to the audience, right? Because you don't want somebody to say, oh my word, I'll never bring my son or daughter back to this again, because the stuff that they said, it left me flabbergasted. I can't believe it. So WWE was wrestling better when it was messy. I think at the time that it was better when it was messy, but I think that it had to change. And AEW, they're carving out a piece of the market that somebody like that guy likes, but that guy doesn't even watch AEW enough. So I guess it's a bigger problem on him.
we know these people are acting.
The Attitude Era left like a kind of like a bad like stench for wrestling fans because you know the kind of the some of the stuff that they showcase. You know, like you mentioned, blackface.
I love it.
You know, all the racist stereotypes.
Wrestling needs a little bit of racism to, you know what I mean?
I know, but if I'm trying to enjoy, if I'm trying to show a friend wrestling or you know maybe you know showcase wrestling to my family members, and I put that on, they see blackface. Like, what do they think of that? It makes me look bad as a wrestling fan.
When
you know what I mean?
put
Not necessarily. And as a black man, I'm gonna tell you why. You know, it's if you see somebody get dressed up as blackface, right? It's usually they never usually get their comeuppance. They never usually get what's coming to them. But in pro wrestling, you can write the story in a way so that when that person dresses up as blackface, they can get the brakes rightfully beat off of them. So I think that if you're showing that as a to your friends would have to find some kind of way that they can stir up the emotion. But that's why you can't just, in this day and age, or even back then, you shouldn't just put people in blackface. You shouldn't just put people in racist or sexist things. There has to be a way for the guy or for the person that's being held down to rise up and overcome. Look at Vince McMahon. When Vince McMahon was doing his things where he was abusing his power on screen, and he was, you know, putting himself or putting his female talent in weird predicaments on screen. The thing is that Vince McMahon eventually got his balls kicked in at the end of the day. When Vince McMahon was humiliating people in the Kiss My Ass Club, eventually Vince McMahon got humiliated back in the end, and he had to kiss some ass as well too. So I think if you do it in pro wrestling, it has to be booked right, and the payoff has to show that the person that's getting oppressed or the person that's being held down was able to rise up to the occasion.
So, yeah, actually, yeah, let me hold the belt.
You about to hand it over. You about to hand it over soon.
I ain't handing over nothing, man, not without a fight.
Okay.
I'm not gonna argue. Attitude Era is probably one of the greatest eras in wrestling. I'm not gonna lie on that.
TV, not wrestling. TV in general. Let's put it out there.
Okay. Right.
And I think that's where the fan right now is getting into trouble. He's agreeing with him and not standing on his business. Oh, a lot of people these days only get to hear the war stories of what it was. In order to live through the Attitude Era was to say that you were there. But imagine living through pro wrestling in the 70s and the early 80s when it was bloodbaths everywhere. You know, you got Ric Flair versus, you know, Dusty Rhodes, Ric Flair versus, you know, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. You know, those kind of matches, some people would say that was the best era, and the next era that came after that, or the era that came after that, wasn't all that great.
As far as like it being a better era than the modern era, I would have to disagree with you, because even though there was edgy antics back in the day, I can say
this question here, I think is very subjective. You know, now that he's walking down the aisle of, you know, that the Attitude Era, you know, is a better era than the current era. The current era is not a better, whichever way anybody wants to look at it. It's all subjective and it's all tied into emotion.
Being said, just having that, just being able to actually tune in and see what these women can do and seeing how far they can take the product has been amazing. And the fact that now we don't have just a few stars, we have like a variety of different types of stars that WWE has now. I feel like that's what really makes wrestling even more entertaining, is just having more than a few characters that actually carry the company. It's just my opinion.
I don't think he's doing a good job. He didn't do a good job. He's trying to go back down the whole entire rabbit hole of saying that the women, you know, are great wrestlers. And I'm not denying that at all. You know, have you seen Charlotte Flair in the ring? You know, the point was wrestling was better when it was messy. And I feel that John Cena didn't do a good job of even explaining. I felt that John Cena may even had been a little bit nervous in the beginning of this time that he sat down.
My next claim is the deal that the WWE made with ESPN and Disney will make the product worse.
The biggest thing with the ESPN deal, and it's the thing that I feel like we will all agree on this aspect, and I think it's hater and fan, that the biggest job for the WWE is to every single generation bring more and more fans into the picture.
Of course.
And the one big thing that I feel like a lot of sports fans, more than anyone else, are always the people that do what? They call WWE
entertainment, or what, fake?
Fake, right?
Okay.
And I believe putting WWE on a network that is the largest entertainment and sports publishing network, what ESPN stands for, gives WWE an extra boost into this next generation. All they're doing is publicating and putting out the WWE product. Putting it on a network that large is going to bring the next generation of these young fans that might have not been exposed, whether it's on Peacock, because let's be real, if I wasn't watching WWE, I would never in my life have Peacock. There's not a single show for me personally on Peacock outside of when they have like football on there and the NFL on Peacock. I have no reason to watch Peacock.
But we're not arguing the platform. We're arguing the product. ESPN, even when ESPN got with Disney, you can't even get a piece of ass without getting fired.
What?
Think about Xavier Woods, for example. If Xavier Woods would have did what he did back then, now with this Disney deal, do you think he'd still be around?
I don't think that he's making any sense there. You know, the ESPN doesn't say that, oh, because there's a scandal in the NFL that they're going to, you know, hold the NFL accountable, or that there's a scandal in the NBA, they're going to hold the NBA accountable. If there's a scandal within the WWE, right, the WWE is going to do a good job like it normally does, is holding its performers accountable. They're not going to be worried about, ESPN's not going to be worried about that. They trust the WWE to do that. WWE has a track record with it. I think that the deal that WWE made with ESPN, the question is, the deal that the WWE made with ESPN and Disney will make the product worse. I think it only makes it worse because it's harder to watch, right? If you don't, I still don't even understand Too Tough how to watch. When I watch all the PLEs and stuff like that, I'm watching in the UK, mind your business. But what I'm saying here is that I think it's going to be harder to watch for the person that doesn't have the benefit to go to a different country to go ahead and watch the WWE programming. So yeah, does it make it worse? Yes.
I don't think that they have the ability of firing someone in the WWE when all they are doing is public.
If you are paying, if you own something, if you are doing business with me, I'm gonna have some kind of say in what's going on. You're gonna have some kind of say in especially if I'm paying you that kind of money. I'm putting some kind of, there's gonna be some kind of clause. May it be the slightest clause of, if we don't like this little thing, this gotta go.
I'm sure. You know, I'm sure. Maybe for if the organization does something egregious, but not for somebody within the organization if they do something egregious. The WWE, I'm sure, has a clause in their contract with the performers, with the talent, that if you do something egregious, they can hold you accountable. But I don't think that ESPN is holding WWE accountable for anything that their people do. No.
What did DX do when the network complained about them talking that? They went out the next day and said, we can't say fuck shit, bit, blah, 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 blah. They stuck it to the network. They like, bro, and what's not going to happen? What's not going to happen with Disney? You are not going to stick it to Disney. Walt Disney is not allowing that.
Let me ask this. What is WWE now that Disney will be upset about? Is there a single thing that they do now that
Disney
shit
is fucking boring?
Exactly.
Motherfuckers ain't getting dragged out caskets.
So wait,
stupid.
He's
stupid.
So your entire point, real quick, was ESPN and Disney are going to bring down the product.
Yes.
But you just said that they don't do anything that could bring down the product. Thank you very much.
Right. You proved the point. Right. You proved the point.
No, shut the f down. Shut the fuck down.
Nah, the clock's 0.
I'm an Attitude Era guy myself, so I know a lot of old wrestling fans that have moved on and now are big sports heads. They regularly watch ESPN, so they might go back and try to make those No, I gotta take this off.
Hold on.
They might go back, right? Oh, I see lust in your eyes, yeah. They may go back and try to make the product better to bring in those OG fans.
What happened to his voice?
They're going to watch with their kids, being like, I remember back in the day in the 90s. Look, now, does that mean they're going to bring back Goldberg again and roll him out of a casket? Hopefully not.
Never, please, God.
But you got to get these old fans on board because they're the ones that moved on. I used to watch wrestling back in the day, right? And also, it's going to add legitimacy to the product. All those people that were using the F word, they're going to be like, oh, wow, well, if it's on ESPN, it must be worth watching. And they're going to be more in tune with what's going on as well.
You know, one of the points that I want to piggyback with what Machoverse was saying was that the old fans that fall back in love from the Attitude Era with pro wrestling, they have kids now. A lot of us have kids. You know, a lot of us don't have kids, but we may have nieces or nephews. And those are the kids, those are the people that we want to take to these pro wrestling shows and make them fans now. You know, all because, oh, it's on ESPN now? Let me see what they're doing. Oh, it's not the wrestling of the Attitude Era. Oh, let me go ahead and bring my kid or my niece or my nephew, you know, or the kid that I mentor. Let me take them to this wrestling thing and show this to them because I know it's wholesome entertainment now.
My rebuttal to that is in what capacity, right? Because you could be paying $6 a month with Peacock right now, and you get a whole catalog. You can watch from the Attitude Era to last week, right?
Just SmackDown, though. You don't got Raw no more.
Yeah, well, that's with the Netflix deal, but you can watch Raw from a year ago.
I understand.
Who wants to watch Raw from a year ago?
I want to watch Raw from last week, or I want to watch Raw from 2 weeks. Even if they did it every two, like how they used to do it, it was like what, a 2-week delay or something like that. Even if they did it like that, bro, if you look at it right now, to be a fan, to be an actual fan and be able to tune into most of the product, it's between $500 to $1,000 to a year. Yes,
it's not a stretch.
If you add it all, if you
it's not
add
a
all
stretch.
the subscriptions up, you add the ESPN Plus subscription, the year, and especially if you do yearlies, all yearly subscriptions, it equals out every. And then you add in if you want to go to a PLE. If you
I actually did the math. When they announced the ESPN deal, it's actually like $93.
It's still $93.
$93. So that's that. And then what about the Peacock?
You gotta pay for ESPN. You gotta pay for cable to get USA Network. You gotta pay for Netflix, and then you want to go to a PLE? Come on, man! Like the guy, the fan is not doing a good job in proving the point right now. He should have sat back in the stands when everybody said, "Yeah, well, you know," when they said, "It is too expensive to be a WWE fan right now." He should have stayed in the back and just say, "All right, you know, we all agree. Move on to the next one."
Yeah, so it would be $93 a month if you buy every single product that you can watch.
Everything,
WWE
and mind you, this is that is with ads or without ads.
It depends.
Because you know that price changes. So now if you, like I said, if you don't want ads, if you want that premium experience, you're going to be spending at least $500 to almost $1,000 a year. Especially now if you want to be a fan, especially if you want to go to an actual live event. Bro, going to a live event is crazy now.
Couldn't we apply this argument to all content, all media?
True. Yeah.
Is it too expensive to watch television?
Yeah.
I don't think so. Bro, think about it. This is one brand. And we gotta go to 5 different channels just to get one brand, one product. That's a lot. That's a lot. And honestly, bro, like not for nothing, I think that will bring back the network. That's all I'm gonna say.
I think the way that he explains it, he has a good point there. But when I'm thinking about it as well, too, when you go watch NBA or NFL, you watch in different places. So you need different subscriptions to get everything else. But I feel with the WWE, I think it may be a little bit more spread out than it should be, because you got you got Netflix for Raw. This is in the United States. This is Netflix for Raw. You've got ESPN for PLEs. You've got cable for SmackDown. And then, you know, if you don't got... If you want to watch NXT, you might need a different app for that as well too. So yeah, you need at least 3 to 4 apps in order to watch wrestling, in order to consume what's going on. So yeah, it is spread out a little bit.
It's $10 a month. It had everything. It was lit. Bring back the network.
The WWE network is not coming back. You see, WWE made us feel that they could make us pay $9.99. At the time, everything was $9.99. And the reason why it was $9.99 and not $10, because $9.99 was so small that it could come out of your bank account and you wouldn't even notice at all. But with AEW coming into the foray and charging people $40, $50, $60 to watch their events, they prove that there's still a market of people out there that are willing to pay more than $9.99 per month.
Back in the day, I know you remember when we were kids, we weren't affording the PLEs. So we were waiting, you know what I'm saying, either going on WWE.com to read what happened, or you were waiting till Monday Night Raw.
Or you had your legal cable box.
School the next day to hear what happened, right? Well, I was going to say, but what happens now is the WWE puts out highlights same day of every match that happens in the PLE.
Right.
And if there is a show that day, they put out every highlight from every match, including promos that were cut.
True.
So now, if you don't have access to watch it or you don't want to spend that money, you can absolutely find all of the content either on WWE's YouTube or on their social media channels. So you can.
I'm going to disagree there as well too. That sure you can go on Peacock. Sure you can go on YouTube and you can watch it. Sure you can go on Instagram or TikTok and watch it. Sure that's all fine and that's all right. But you're still not getting the full experience from watching it live. You're not on the emotional roller coaster. You're pretty much, instead of getting on a roller coaster at the entrance and riding it, going through the loops and going through the dives and everything like that and the swift turns, you're only getting on a roller coaster at the top. You're going down for the dive and then you're getting off. You're not getting to experience the full roller coaster. So just watching on social media, I think that you're only giving yourself a sample, but you're not getting yourself the full meal of what the WWE is.
If you are a normal, like the average American cable subscriber, that's all you have access to is NXT and SmackDown to watch live. Everything else is a dub. You got to watch it on YouTube, like you said, if you don't have the means to have everything. Because there's some people in the world that live without Wi-Fi.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
So there's, you know what I mean? Not everyone has necessarily access to YouTube. There's people without tablets or any of that.
I know. That's why I'm just, I agree. Generally, WWE's absolutely started pricing us out.
So then why are you sitting there if you agree? Why are you sitting there? You're supposed to be sitting there because you're supposed to be counteracting what he's saying. You know what? You're a fraud.
My next claim is John Cena is the Post Malone of WWE. He'll do anything to get over.
Do you feel like Post Malone is disingenuous in either one of those venues? Do you think that he's disingenuous in being a hip hop artist, or do you think he's disingenuous in being country, or do you think those are both real for him?
I think that, unfortunately, I believe that artists, a lot of people in general, they'll just attack what works, and once things are working, once there's a flow.
People can't be layered. People can't have multiple things that they like.
Listen, I do know Post's background. He did do folk at a time, but once more, folk obviously didn't get you on. You made a lane switch, made it work, and then what happens once you got it? You switched again. You went right back to what you wanted to do.
So for Post Malone, right, I think we could both agree that when he came out with his music, especially like White Iverson and all that stuff, he was making genuine music. Or do you disagree?
I don't know. I don't know the man personally, but
so then what do you argue?
I don't know the man.
So
personally.
then what's your argument? What's your argument then? The question is, John Cena is the Post Malone of the WWE, and you're saying, oh, well, you don't know the man personally. It's not about knowing the man personally or not. It's about knowing who Post Malone and who John Cena is, and how they both, have differences or similarities. He's trying to prove the similarities, and the fans are trying to prove the differences. But okay, we'll just keep going.
No. So you speaking.
All right, so my question is, have you met John Cena? Have you met John Cena? Had a conversation with him personally, or had any conversation with any wrestler
or Post Malone?
That's what I'm saying. To
fundamentally understand that what they were doing was genuine.
To argue the genuineness of anyone, you have to actually sit down and have a conversation with them. So any of us sitting there,
that is stupid. What he just said. That is stupid. That doesn't even make any sense at all.
We're just shooting this talking out of our ass. Realistically, right now, I'm sitting.
He's been talking out of his ass the whole video.
Conversation with anyone about
right, but the argument that you're making is that these two people essentially switched up when you don't know if they're disingenuous or genuine. If you're doing something out of a genuine love, whether it gets you over or not, right? We're using wrestling terms over. Post Malone got over doing White Iverson, then he's out there doing country music. If it gets you over, that doesn't necessarily mean that like you're doing it because it's getting you over. You could have a genuine love for it. Post Malone was playing guitar, listening to Nirvana, loving country music, and making White Iverson all at the same time. John Cena, when John Cena came out as the prototype, he was doing none of that stuff. But I think it doesn't necessarily mean if you get on doing something that you're only doing it to get on, right?
I don't agree, man. Like I said.
Did Undertaker not evolve?
Undertaker evolved, but Undertaker also.
Did Chris Jericho not evolve?
Undertaker evolved, but Undertaker maintained the core of him. He was still the dead man.
The American Badass was still an Undertaker.
And they called him the dead man, and they called him.
Right, and John Cena was still John Cena. So I don't know what his point is that he's trying to make here. I see what the fan is trying to do. The fan is trying to paint the hater into a corner so he can just pretty much hit him with his finishing move. But the hater right now is doing a good job of dodging it instead of just answering the question. That's where the fan has to hold him accountable and say, just answer the question, just yes or no. He answers the question yes or no, paints him into a corner, and hits him with his finishing move. Let's see if the fan will paint him into the corner and hit him with the finishing move.
But they still called him the dead man.
So John Cena has never returned to any sort of resemblance of the true grit man that he was when he was rapping out there. He doesn't still talk when he's making promos.
Talking and rapping is different.
No, it's not. It's not when he was out there doing the thug life, the thugonomics, the John Cena rapper thing. He's still talking trash in the ring, and he's still talking trash now. So I don't get it. The trash talk just evolved. That's all it is.
In the context of like him getting on, doing something is in bad faith. He's only doing it to get on. I would say of all the wrestlers that we got out there, right? John Cena is not doing stuff. I mean, first of all, the man's over. He could do whatever he wants. He came out there to John Cena in black writing and was talking for the last like 5 months, and he was still over. He wasn't doing that to get on. He was trying to put himself under. He didn't even come back as the bad guy we wanted. We didn't come back in a singlet. He didn't come back with that music we all heard about. What was it called? Remember My Name, that he talked about for years in interviews. That's what we wanted, and he didn't do it. He tried to get himself under, and he was still getting cheered as he went out. Listen, I'm not going to say that John Cena is the end-all, be-all, but I think to say that he's doing stuff to just get over, John Cena got over because he works hard, hustle, loyalty, respect. You know what I'm saying? Where's my man right there?
Once more hood terms. That's a whole hood term that he fucking turned and bastardized. Oh, whatever, man, whatever, bro. Just listen, stop.
He didn't do a good job in defending himself there. John Cena is the Post Malone of WWE. I think that the hater definitely failed at this one. Let's see if they give somebody else a chance.
To say that John Cena changes faces to get over is absolute. And the reason why I say that is because wrestling fans invest in characters for a certain period of time, but sometimes in that time, especially when a character goes stale, they have to reach inside. They have to reach into their soul, things that they know that they are and love to do. They have to do that to reinvent themselves to continue to go on. John Cena, at that time, when he was doing Thugonomics, that was a part of who he was at that time.
A part of who he was? That's cap, bro.
No, it's
How's that cap? John Cena was a rapper. John Cena's not a person that they just said, hey, go out there and just create some fake raps. John Cena actually loved rap. If you find videos of John Cena out there talking about hip-hop, John Cena has a bona fide love for hip-hop. Okay? So you can't say that John Cena was out there pretending that he liked hip-hop. That was who John Cena was. The military John Cena, that was off the heels of his Marines movie. That's what he was. He was trying to sell the movies. So it's not that he was faking the whole entire time. He never once went out there and claimed that he was a military veteran or was in the military at all. But he embodied the things that makes a military veteran a military veteran. He had the hustle, he had the loyalty, and he had the respect.
He had the My Time Is Now, which went platinum, by the way.
Platinum rapper. Platinum rapper wrestler.
I will say he was spitting on that album. I will say
he was spitting on that. At that time, he loves wrestling and he loves music.
Right.
And then, as far as his work and how it went over, like the fans was rocking with it, and then after a while, he was just like, you know what? Let me just start showing other parts of who I am.
Right.
Hustle, loyalty, respect. That's just not a catchphrase. That's a way of life.
That's how he lives.
And the reason why I say that is because every single day that he shows up into the wrestling business, he gave his all. He gave everything. And you can clearly see that. I met the man personally, and that's how he is in real life.
This guy is really emotional about John Cena, but I agree 100% that John Cena embodies hustle, loyalty, and respect. Right, hustle. John Cena's worked hard. When nobody was really caring about wrestling, when WWE had no competition, John Cena hustled, right, and created the loyalty within the WWE. He stayed loyal to the WWE, and he has the respect not only for the pro wrestling business, but he has respect for the fans as well too, the people that spend their money in there. So this guy right here is really passionate about John Cena. He's a bona fide John Cena fan.
I'm gonna bring it to my real life at least. I don't know about y'all's. But I went to high school with a lot of white boys that was into the culture, and they loved rap, and it was Wu-Tang, and it was all that shit. Yo, they could rap you fucking anything, RZA word for word. Yo, we graduate high school, and I see them like 2-3 years later after college, and these motherfuckers is white, button-up shirt, the short shorts.
So what does that mean? They're going to work every day. What does that mean? That doesn't mean anything. Your point doesn't have any sense at all. I think that growing up as a kid in the Bronx, right? I liked all kinds of music. I liked pop music. I loved rap music. I loved reggae music. I liked everything. I even liked a little bit of Spanish music. The second I hear Suavemente Besame, I don't even know what they be saying after that part, but, I just love the music. It doesn't mean that, that music is made for certain people or certain colors, right? I used to always hate that people say, oh, why do you listen to white people music? It's not white people music. It's not black people music either. They make music for green, and the only green that they care about is money.
I woke up one day to a rapping.
BT come off type ignorant,
I'm
though.
not saying it's not a banger, but when you code switch, you code switch. Yo, listen, at the end of the day, when I woke up, when I went to bed one day, you was rapping, and then when I woke up the next day, the motherfucker was out here like this.
I guess he was sleeping for a long time then, or maybe he became a John Cena fan right at the time of when John Cena was making the transition. I don't know.
What the f is that?
But who's to say? But who's to say that that's not a part of who he is? Every person has layers to who they are.
Okay. When you went to school, like I said, brought it back to real life. When you went to school with that person that was all about that, may have even been a white boy to say the N-word on the low. You know what I'm saying? All that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then you see them like 3-4 years later, and he's button up collar. Hiya, guys. Hey.
What does that mean? He's getting paid. He's at his job. He's at his job. He's not proving the point that John Cena is the Post Malone of WWE. That's the question that we're currently on. And I feel like right now at this point that we've gone way past that, right? This guy right here, the John Cena fan, he's just having a great time talking about John Cena. He's a legitimate John Cena fan. Bravo, good for you, but get back to the question. John Cena is the Post Malone of WWE. You should be up there trying to prove that he is not.
So you're going to say that was him the whole time? Because you're going to say, bro, what? You switched up.
That's just a part of who he is.
That's a part of growth.
Exactly.
Atta girl.
That's a part of life.
People change.
That's a part of life. People mature, people change. That doesn't mean that it makes him any less.
But is that growth, or is that just appropriating to get yourself over it?
No.
Growth.
It's character growth.
Bro,
That's growth. It reintroduces him as this new character. It lets people see this new part of his personality, and it gives people a chance to latch on to this new part of who he is.
Hey, fans, I'm white too. That's what John Cena.
He's always been white.
He's always been white. He didn't have to tell anybody that.
See his complexion?
Right.
Take those glasses off, buddy.
Just because you couldn't see him doesn't mean
he's not there.
But that is the point, though. To say that John Cena is disingenuous, no one's genuine. Do you really think Matt Cardona's the complete Matt Cardona?
When I said they were acting before, y'all
75%.
But that's what wrestling. Don't say y'all. Undertaker here. Don't say y'all.
I heard egad. When I said mother acting, I heard.
The point you're trying to make is when Post Malone did it, and I think the biggest issue is that it came off as disingenuous. And when it comes to hip hop, you have to be in. You got to be 10 toes down. You can't one day talk about I'm down for my homies, and the next moment, no one's gonna be for that.
When you mix hip hop and wrestling, it's
But John Cena was hip hop.
Yes.
Yes.
No, he was.
He was.
That's haberdashery right there.
He was.
Thugonomics. What's your favorite John Cena song?
What you call it? Move so quick. Let me see you in slow mo. Get your throat cut while you step in the dojo.
No, knock it off. Knock it off. That's haberdashery. John Cena wasn't hip hop. John Cena was gonna do whatever he needed to do to get over. I could put an album out, but does that make me hip hop?
Yes.
No,
Yes.
Come on,
You are part. Yes.
No.
Yes, you're in the culture at that point.
Participate in the culture. You insert yourself into the culture.
Right.
Would you then say by that same thing? Would you then say someone like Iggy Azalea is hip hop over Lauryn Hill?
Yeah, it's not over. You don't put no. It's either you are hip hop or either you are not. That's it.
I don't think John
Nah,
Cena
you could be
should
multiple.
count as hip hop in that example because Post Malone was in it. John Cena released the album as part of a gimmick for WWE.
Right, but he was.
You can't switch up if you were never.
But he was a rapper. You know, it was legit his thing. He wasn't John Cena wasn't pretending. I don't think she's doing a great job right now in proving the point.
Begin with.
I'm gonna tell you right now. John Cena brought the hood to wrestling.
That's the hood was already there. That's
We're not talking about prior fans. I'm talking about a motherfucker who flips on Channel 9 and be like, oh, yo, this here really spitting bars. Yo, I said, yo, and you go to school the next day, yo, who was that dude out there spitting bars? Bro, that never watched, that didn't care about wrestling, none of that shit. John Cena put hood people that didn't give a shit about wrestling onto wrestling.
John Cena was the
stupid.
only one rapping at the time.
How would he know? How would he know? He claimed that he went to school with the white boys, right? So he wasn't going to school with a lot of black kids. How would he know what everybody's doing the next day? Now he's the one that's cap.
The only honorable black person in that like hip hop or thug or urban role was John Cena, which is fucked up because he's not black.
So what does that mean? What does that mean? Because he's not black, he's not hip hop? That's stupid. None of that makes any sense, bro.
My son was spitting double, triple entendres.
No, he wasn't.
Go back to the bars, girl.
It was a good album.
Let's break the bars down. We can go after this.
If I got cooked,
yeah, we can break the bars down.
I got cooked, but John Cena never been hip hop because you can rhyme. Come on, dog.
LeBron James ruined pro wrestling.
Whoa. I'm gonna need you to clarify for everybody here.
When we look at how LeBron James has affected the sports world in general, sports entertainment, whatever. It's now, there's no longer like opposition. It's no longer like I look at my opponent and I hate you. It's all friends. It's all everyone kissing and hugging. When we watched Unreal a couple weeks ago when it dropped, and you seen, what kind of me up was watching Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes hug and kiss after the match, all bloodied up and all that. And I understand like it is a work, and I understand it is pro wrestling, but once more, when we go back to the past claim, motherfuckers like Vince was using Matt Hardy and Edge in a real beef, and they was really throwing real punches, and they was really out there calling each other out their names and all of that, calling Lita whore.
So what about LeBron?
Yeah.
Right, he's an idiot.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You're saying that LeBron James ruined wrestling.
Sports and
wrestling because nobody is portraying the rivalry that we see in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
My thing, when you say LeBron James, I think about the little boy that had that flip phone, that camera phone taking a picture of Stone Cold Steve Austin back in 2003. I remember that. Okay.
I get
so the fact that you're pointing LeBron James into this whole kayfabe thing is way off the beaten path.
But the thing,
I agree. I agree with what she's saying. So she's talking about the point that she's trying to make was that LeBron James is a fan of pro wrestling, so he wouldn't want to ruin pro wrestling. But the way I'm looking at this whole entire thing as well too is that you're really trying to tell me that it's 2025. We know what pro wrestling is, right? So you're trying to tell me that the man that plays Spider-Man really hates the man that plays the Green Goblin in real life. So when they see each other, they're supposed to be at odds. The cat's already been let out of the bag. We already know how the rabbit gets pulled out of the hat. We know the magic trick, right? And I don't think that LeBron James did anything to destroy it.
What about the McMahon Helmsley era? What about that? We forget about that. Test was dating Stephanie at the time.
No, he wasn't.
At a point in time, right?
No.
On the TV, yes.
Test was never with.
No.
That's not Cap.
You Cap.
That's not Cap.
Test was with Stephanie McMahon.
No.
On TV.
Test was not. God rest his soul.
Yeah.
I love how she debated him right then and there. She didn't let him go forward. Every time he would come out with the lie, she would just stop the lie right then and there. She'd just say no. Stephanie McMahon never dated Test as far as we know. You know, she dated Test and was engaged to him and was going to get married to him on WWE television. But as far as IRL in real life, no. As he was saying, that's Cap.
There were times when we thought that the Brothers of Destruction was real life brothers in real life.
True.
Right.
Listen, there was a time we thought Edge and Lita on camera. I'm just gonna say
that's allegedly. We don't know if they did or didn't.
And that's the entertainment part of it. That is and that's definitely the entertainment part. It's supposed to draw you in. It's supposed to make you believe that. That was real beef for sure. Just like Charlotte and Becky was real beef.
Just like Charlotte and Tiffany recently. That was the dopest thing. And I know that Tiffany was wrong in I guess business eyes, but that was the dopest thing that happened in the E. I was like, ooh.
But it showed off as tacky and classes, and it showed off that she couldn't.
That shit was popping.
It showed that she.
I think that BT likes the messiness. He goes back to his original question, was that pro wrestling was better when it was messy. He lives off the messiness. He's the kind of person that likes to see the real life drama bleed over. That's the kind of things that he likes.
But to go back to the point to say that LeBron James, which is weird,
it's weird for real.
LeBron James of all people ruined sports entertainment because everybody is friends. Like, what sense does that make? Make it make sense. Kayfabe is dead, and we know it.
I don't think kayfabe is dead. I think that kayfabe has evolved into what you know it is now. You know, people are so focused on, you know, how kayfabe was that the babyface and the heels didn't hang out together and that they really hated each other in real life. But I think that kayfabe has evolved. Kayfabe has evolved that real life bleeds over into the pro wrestling storylines that you don't really know where one starts and where one stops. Like R-Truth got fired from the WWE. We don't know if that was a part of the show or if it's not a part of the show. Is kayfabe dead? No, kayfabe didn't die. She just evolved. That's it.
If you knew that Matt Riddle and Goldberg or Matt Riddle and CM Punk were in the storyline, are you not tuned in? Because you know the history behind it, right?
Of course.
Because they got real life beef, right?
Listen,
that's what I'm saying.
Art imitates life. That's art imitates life.
Art ain't imitating life right now. But outside of the Tiffy and Charlotte situation, art has not been really imitating life too much outside of.
Right, but because art can't imitate life in the whole entire thing. You know, you take the parts that you can take from life and utilize into the storylines. Where most people probably don't want their business in WWE storylines.
Instagram.
You're right, but you're still tuned in every week, right, to watch? Okay, point taken.
Thank you. And he laughs.
Because I'm a purist.
Even with real life beef such as Matt and, you know, you keep referencing Matt Hardy and Edge or Tiffany Stratton and Charlotte, it doesn't even matter if the beef is real because they need to be able to get along to work each other in the ring and not hurt each other for real.
Matt Hardy and Edge Matt Hardy and Edge did not get along in real. They did not fuck with each other.
You're right.
True.
But they still have to get along to work each other in the ring, right? And that's still cage match.
That's the business part.
That's a part of being a professional.
Right.
Exactly.
That's a part of, like, there could be, I could not like you across the way and we're gonna still debate. But once more, when it's real, you're still gonna be able to pull from that real emotion. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You
That's why we still have
you might see the
right
tears
now.
in the eyes. You might see the real scowl. When a motherfucker punches, you might see that real scowl. Or like, you know, even when there is like a real bump or something like that, they're gonna really put their elbow into that bitch. You know, they're gonna really put their knee into that motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? Even with the receipts. You know what I'm saying? A little wrestling term.
That's a different era of wrestling, dude. I'm sorry to say, we're not in that era of wrestling anymore with receipts and like trying to hurt each other.
I know people still get receipts in pro wrestling. People still get receipts.
I think that's whack, to be honest. It's so unprofessional.
Fair enough.
It's unprofessional for you to punch me in the face for real. It's pro wrestling. You're still supposed to protect yourself and your opponent all the time. So, you know, if you consistently punch me in the face, I'm not going to sit there and let you punch me in the face the whole entire thing. Nah, you're going to get a receipt. You might have to eat a fist back as well, too, for yourself. So, nah, I don't agree with what the guy's saying.
How did you expect today to go? Walk me through what you're thinking, feeling.
I'll be honest. So I will say that I thought that they weren't going to, like, come on as strong as they did. Like, I did think I was going to cook a lot more, but, you know.
Oh, wow.
Oh, you got Maven. Yeah, Maven's really huge on YouTube. Shout out to Maven. Maven's doing a hell of a job on YouTube right now.
Did I hear it correct that you think wrestling is fake? Is that what I heard?
It's not that.
Well, Birdie told me that out in the hall. Is that accurate?
It's not that I think wrestling is fake. The truth of the matter is, wrestling is a bunch of guys getting paid to play fight.
Ooh.
I'm not going to offer any pushback on that. Myself, Randy Orton, Mark Jindrak, we used to ride up and down the highway. We would say to each other, we would laugh and say, we're grown men that baby oil ourselves up, wear our underwear, and put fake fights on for a living.
I've done it.
We could not believe it's how we made our living. You want to know what I was doing 3 days ago, though?
Shoot.
I was sitting in a doctor's office going over exactly where he was going to stick a needle this long in my spine in 3 weeks' time. Why? Because I naturally lean to the right all the time. I've got 3 disc herniations that eventually I'm gonna have to have surgery to get repaired. I'm just trying to hold it off. I'm an old man now. I'm 48. I'm trying to push it into my 50s. And I'll give you some latitude, my friend. Yeah, it's a dumb concept when you think about it.
Yeah.
Grown men having fake fights.
But you're still doing things that are real in the ring. You can't trick gravity. You're still really falling down. You're not falling down on a mattress. You're not falling down on a trampoline. You know, you still get dislocations. You know, you still get torn rotator cuffs. You still get damage in the ring. So, you know, I mean, I guess people try to say it's fake. I guess people try to say pro wrestling is fake to try to, like, you know, belittle pro wrestling fans. But you need to understand, there's not a man stringing around New York City in his underwear. If you look out your window and there's a guy in a spider costume sitting outside your window, call the cops. Call the cops.
I've been back there, and I've listened, and all of you have put out amazing arguments. And I'm not gonna lie. I've agreed with a lot that you've had to say. I make a living now because of that, so I'm not gonna poo-poo that. I love it.
Yeah.
But it's just a different world we live in. And it's not going back. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you agree with that?
I don't know if I could say it won't go back. I mean, I guess
it's not going back. This brother here, he's a fan, clearly a fan of the Attitude Era. He wants it to go back to the Attitude Era. It's not. The world has changed. The world has changed. He said he looks at AEW a little bit. He likes what AEW talks about. Maybe he should check out AEW if he's really just this WWE hater.
Well, back in the territory days, they had the sign that hung in the back. You remember what the sign said?
No, he doesn't know.
Personal issues draw money.
So there you go.
They wanted to use anything they could, anything that could, just for a second make the fans say, "Holy shit, that's real."
Right.
Yeah.
One thing I used to do is that I used to, when we used to have to brawl outside of the ring, or sometimes brawl in the audience, I used to always tell my opponent, "You need to hit me as hard as you can, in a safe spot, of course, but you need to hit me as hard as you can, because I don't want the person that's sitting there that paid their hard-earned money at the wrestling show that goes, oh well, I'm just taking my kids. I don't believe this is." But I'm just taking my kids so they can watch this, and if we do this hit or something that looks very cheap, like we're play fighting, for him to say to his kids, "Hey, why do you even like this?" And for them to talk, for the kids to be talked out of not being fans, you can lose a fan that way.
Every night when we go out, we have 2 goals, and those goals are pop the boys in the back, have the boys in the back come back and say it good. Man, yeah. And 2, make the fans think for 1 second.
That's right.
Now, wait a minute. I know this is fake.
Right.
But, that bump hurt. Or, man, he laid that punch in
Right.
for 1 second. That's every wrestler's goal when they go out there.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going back. If anything, it's just going to continue to get worse.
I consume your content to know the backstory.
Yeah. Gotcha.
The story of the story. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
'Cause like I said, to know this guy was a dick, this guy was this guy was that, this guy sucks. This guy actually sucks in ring. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This is why someone like yourself is good content. You know what I'm saying? Because you're giving the story behind the story. Right. But once more, when the story behind the story don't really got a story, that shit's kind of at this point now, like you just got the kayfabe story to live off of, and that's it, really.
So what he's saying is right, because he's talking out of both sides of his mouth. He said he loved the Attitude Era, right? But he knows in his heart, really and truly, one of the questions I would ask him right then and there: do you believe that Matt Hardy and Edge was the greatest pro wrestling story of all time? Or I would tell him to give me the greatest pro wrestling story of all time. And then he would tell me the greatest pro wrestling story of all time. Then I asked him, well, why wasn't Edge and Lita with Matt Hardy, right? Because there's been plenty of stories that we've watched in pro wrestling that we fall in love with, but it wasn't real. It was something that was fabricated, and we still loved it. So what he's saying is crap right there. I'm not believing none of that stuff.
You want to know who my favorite wrestler going in today's business is?
Who?
And it's going to shock you.
I would love to know.
MJF.
MJF. You can't tell whether MJF is legit or if he's working. You can't tell what you're getting by watching MJF, and I love MJF. I think MJF, he still embodies the old school. So a guy like BT, who's the hater sitting across from Maven, he's not really a WWE hater. He's a WWE fan who should probably go check out AEW if he's really a hater. But I think that this goes back to the toxic relationship that WWE has with us. We've been mistreated for a long time, and there's times when they treat us really well. We remember when Vince McMahon was still in charge, and we got a Monday Night Raw where we're like first 30 to 45 minutes we're just talking. And it was like, oh my God, this Raw sucked. But what did we do? We still tuned in every single week just to hope that this week was better than the last week. So, it's a toxic relationship with a lot of us. A lot of us just don't stop watching.
He makes people say, is he really that much of a dick? Never breaks. He never breaks. He goes back to those territory days. He goes back to those days when heels and faces wouldn't be seen together, wouldn't be in the same dressing room. I think he could be the one guy. He would have to do it in WWE, in my opinion, but I don't think they are gonna allow him.
Yeah, MJF is kind of a little bit different. He's not the norm. They would have to probably water him down a lot. But I think that's where it would come into the whole entire thing, is where they would take MJF and not water him down at all, because you'd expect him to be watered down. But when he comes to the WWE, he's not watered down at all. I think that would be great.
I think you have to honestly kind of play that. You have to play that kayfabe role out. If you're not going to commit to it in real life, because at that point, like I said, it's going to go back to that argument of kayfabe is dead and is just there's no story behind the story.
It is.
Well, it's dead. Yes, you're right. But I'm talking about the story behind the story. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's no story behind the story if you're not really playing into that role, or you're not going to convince anyone if you're being all humble and nice and your character's a dick. No, I agree with that though.
Yeah.
I do agree with that.
I remember when I had my thing with Taker going, and he did something on my neck, and I went up to
chair.
him.
He's probably talking about the
because
chair
it looked
spot.
a pretty damn good-looking bump. And I asked him, Taker, do you want me? Because I was going to go to the damn CVS and get a fucking neck brace. and he told me, he was like, nah, dude, you're good. And I mean, that's the Godfather. I knew my YouTube career, I wasn't going too far once his YouTube career started.
Oh, yeah.
Like, once he was telling stories, once it was Mark Calloway and not just The Undertaker, to me, that was the damn death nail in kayfabe.
But in this day and age, though, what we get, though, is the surprises. You get to get into things that you don't know that it's going to happen. And I think that's what makes WWE, what makes pro wrestling so great now. Yeah, back in the day, we used to get kayfabe and never know what happened. But now they have to work to keep the secrets so much harder that when we finally do get the secrets, it knocks the socks off of us. And I think that's where, even though we know it's kayfabe, it's like we still like the wall pulled over our eyes. We still like to be tricked every now and then.
And my girl, she's not a fan. And she watched 30 seconds of it, and she went, it looks like they're dancing. And to me, that's what I hate. That's what just pisses me off about the business. It's because when you don't listen to the crowd and when you're not out in the ring being instinctual, reacting off of what the fans are giving you, and when you're just going through spots, it looks like a ballet.
So a hot take.
So there was a time where I used to have to plan out every single part of the match from the time that I walked out the curtain to the time I walked back into the curtain. And I wrestled Jake the Snake's Roberts, his brother. I wrestled him somewhere in upstate New York. And, when he first came into the locker room before the show started, I went up to him and I introduced myself. Hi, my name is Tristen. I'll be the person, that'll be working with you tonight. And, I'll give you a chance to get dressed. I'll go get dressed and I'll come talk to you in a little bit. He goes, all right, kid, no problem. Thank you very much. He goes, Sam Houston, nice to meet you. Nice to meet you, sir. So, I'm getting ready, before the show starts, and the show starts. So I go over to him and say, hey, any idea what you want to do yet? Not sure yet. Okay, great. So now show's going on. Intermission happens. We are the match coming up before, coming up after, a little bit after intermission. So I go back to him and I go, Mr. Houston, anything that you want to do? I'm not sure yet, kid. We'll figure it out. But now he's getting dressed. I'm like, all right, cool. Maybe he needs to get into the whole process of getting dressed before he can figure it out. So eventually, I go up to him right before we were supposed to go. I go, so what do we want to do? He goes, what do you do as your finish? And he goes, all right, cool. Let's listen to me when we go out there. I said, holy shit, never in my time, all my years of wrestling. I started training in 2007, and I had my first match in 2009, and this was maybe 2019 when this whole entire thing happened, and it was like, I so used to planning the stuff out, and he said to me, we'll go out there and we'll figure it out. So now me going out there figuring out means that I had to listen. Somebody has to be a follower and somebody had to be a leader. And let me tell you, I think that's one of the greatest matches that I ever had with Sam Houston, Jake the Snake's Roberts brothers. We went out there, we felt the crowd, we listened to the crowd, and we just let the crowd dictate which way we moved, and they loved it. And none of it was planned. The only thing that was planned was for him to win. That was it.
Lay it on me, brother.
Pro wrestling might be too athletic.
I disagree.
Me over.
So
that's like saying that basketball is too athletic these days, because back in the day they never used to dunk, but now that they dunk or now that they dunk, that it's a little bit too athletic. No, that's stupid. I think it's just the evolution that athletes, that because physical fitness has changed, people have become a lot more athletic. So yeah, I disagree with that. But Maven's such a nice guy. Maven's like, you know what? I'm not going to disagree with you. Win me over. Let's see.
When I say too athletic, you know how she said they're dancing. Yeah. They're climbing all over each other, doing roll back to, you know what I'm saying? There's no more, like I said, they're relying on athleticism. Yeah. There's no longer psychology involved. It's just athleticism. You know what I'm saying?
I've said it before. Ricochet does stuff I wouldn't try in a swimming pool.
Yes.
That's insane. Like he's so athletic, but I'll agree with you. Whenever you're just thinking about just doing a move to where it looks completely perfect, you're missing the art of what professional wrestling is. When I left the WWE, my very first independent run, I was working with Billy Gunn. And I followed Billy around like a little puppy dog. What are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing? Let's put our match together. And he looked at me. He went, man, we'll figure it out there. And I was like, well, you don't want to talk over anything? And he said, can you lock up?
Same story like mine.
Yes. He's like, we're good.
Same story like mine.
But I'm 5 years in at this point. He made me learn because in the WWE, I was a timed wrestler. I knew, okay, I got 6 minutes. I got 10 minutes. I got 4 minutes.
Right.
And I was going to.
Maven's right. You know, when I was wrestling, I knew that they gave me 10 minutes, and we were always training for the WWE, and I always knew that I had 10 minutes. I knew exactly how much I could fit into a 10-minute bag. I knew exactly what I can fit into it, and I would fit that in there just so I wouldn't go over my time or short my time. But that's where somebody like Maven, where he's telling the story with Billy Gunn and me telling my story with Sam Houston, that's when we went from wrestlers to workers, to where we're able to work in the ring. We like Ric Flair. I don't think that Ric Flair was going out there planning out 60 minutes. Ric Flair probably just went out there, God, we'll lock up and see how the fan feels, and let's figure it out from there. So yeah, so that Raven's talking about the time when he leveled up, just like the time when I leveled up in the ring.
He taught me to listen to the crowd. And you find out when you do that, you have to do so much less.
True.
And guess what? At that point, then you kind of can fake gravity because you're not doing all those crazy bumps. So I wish more wrestlers went back to that style. And whenever anybody asks me, Maven, what advice can you give me? I tell them, learn how to call stuff in the ring.
Right.
Because you'll listen to what these people want.
Right.
You'll listen to what the fans want.
Right.
And you'll give it to them.
Because the fans are ultimately paying their money, and you need to give them what they paid for, entertain them. If you come out there with a match that's already, pre-planned and everything else like that, you're not listening to the crowd. What you're working on is, all right, let me get to the next spot. You're not listening to the crowd. What if somebody gets hurt in the ring? Now you have to be able to pivot. You can't pivot because you've already written down the script, and you can't stray from the script because in order for you to get to the end, you have to follow the script through this way. So if you knew how you're walking into the match, all right, we're going to lock up, and the way that we're getting out of the match, you're going to lose. We can just work everything in through there. You still have the formula for pro wrestling: shine, heat, comeback, finish, and you work the shine, heat, comeback, finish into the confines of what you have to do. That's where you learn how to be a worker in pro wrestling, and that's one of the things that I learned as well too, just like Maven.
I did see Maven walk in with a microphone.
Right here.
I feel like it's only appropriate for somebody to bring us home. I can put 24 seconds on the clock. Who wants to cut a promo on our hater? And 3, 2.
Welcome to the new generation of professional wrestling, where we just had a group of super fans debate this hater. But let's be real here. This man ain't no hater over here. This man is a fan, because it is 2025 and professional wrestling is all the way on top of the world.
I agree.
Welcome if you're watching for the first time, because guess what? Professional wrestling never went away.
Never.
It's never not cool. It's always been cool, and we're back.
Looking at this whole fan versus hater thing right here, I think it's a pretty good concept what they do. The thing about being a pro wrestling fan is that you're really passionate. We're all really passionate about what we love, and I love the fact that they were able to stick Maven in there, who is a retired pro wrestler at this point, to give his view. I think that the hater all the way, that the hater wasn't really a hater. Maybe the hater was just abused by WWE, so he was just like one WWE abuse victim. He wasn't really like a real WWE hater. I think it is in his heart, he loves the WWE. I think that he remembers a time when it was really fun for him. It was during the Attitude Era, and he looks like he's about my age group as well too. So it looks like around that time for me, the WWE was really fun. It was when I was growing up, it was saying words that I couldn't say. It was doing things that I couldn't do, and it felt really fun. Now as a man, everything that I see in WWE, I'm like, yeah, I could do that. I can even afford to go to the show as well too. I think that it's a mix between the fans and the haters of who did a good job. And I think that there's a lot of times that they went off the topic and they didn't stay on the topic. But this is a good show. That was wild, because what we got 10 fans, 1 haters, and there was a whole lot of heat flying in the playground. What I want to know is, what do you think? Who do you really think won the debate? The hater or the fans? Drop it in your comments. Keep kayfabe alive, and let me know what got you most fired up. If you had fun breaking this down, make sure you hit that like button. Subscribe, tap that bell, just because this is just the start, and there's many more heat coming your way. Until next time, I'm Tristen Law, and this was Getting Heat.